Compliments of the season. Welcome to the news on the hours, brought to you from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN Television. I am Rachel Ibun. One of the ways to serve God is through serving the people through priesthood. The office is not of self-aggrandizement or self-adulation. It is an office that requires humility in all ways. This was according to the Primate Church of Nigeria and Bishop of Abuja Diocese, His Grace the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, at the service of licensing of lay readers, diaconate, priesthood, ordination, and the collation of canon. ACNN News correspondent Nzubechi Frank tells the story.
The service of licensing of lay readers, diaconate priesthood ordination, and the collation of canon held at the Cathedral Church of the Advent Life Camp, Abuja, and hosted by the Archbishop Metropolitan, Primate of all Nigeria and Bishop of Abuja Diocese, Anglican Communion, His Grace the Most Reverend Nicholas D. Oko. Officiating at the service was the Bishop of Otukbo Diocese, the Right Reverend David Bello, who was also the retreat leader. While preaching, admonished all those involved to stand for the truth, speak the truth, even as they are going into service for God.
And you want me the truth, and of course, you will be persecuted. You are entering to a service of suffering. It has its glory, but the other side, I think, is a service of suffering. For standing for truth, people will hate you. Don't seek popularity, don't seek fame. Remember, you're a servant leader.
The primate also, while in an interview, had these to say to them.
It is not an office for self-adulation or self-aggrandizement. The language is self-effacing and humility in every way. What you find in the church belongs to God, and you serve God through serving the people. They are not to oppress the people in any form, so that they will receive the blessing in the service.
Some of the celebrants took turns to share how they feel and what they think is expected of them.
Oh, well, you know, the Church of God is so big, all the work cannot be done by the priests and bishops alone. And I think it is getting increasingly more and more important for the lay people to assist in many ways, in whichever way possible. So I think in the lay ministry there is so much work for people. And I think more and more people should come into it so that we can help our priests to do even more.
We want to appreciate God. Now it's expected of me that I should do my job as a priest, no more as a deacon. There are some limitations when I was a deacon, but now those limitations have been lifted. Just like the primates and the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko charged us to be good pastors, to be humble, to be submissive. I pray that the Lord will help me. And our retreat master, Bishop Bello, all the way from Otukbo, also during retreat told us to discharge our duties faithfully.
I feel very grateful to say I give God the praise for a special day like this. I really appreciate God for bringing us to this extent, and I pray that God will help me to assist my husband to do the ministry of God, because we have been called to serve him, and by the special grace of God we will serve him in good faith and will end very well.
The expectation is to fulfill destiny, touch lives, propagate the kingdom, depopulate hell, and that's the sole aim and the purpose of this work.
It's actually something I foresaw, but thank God that God has called him, and I believe that whoever God calls, he equips. So I'm just trusting God for the great work.
I want to congratulate them. What I would just say is that they should trust God and the assignment God has given to them in their various capacities, to know that God will equip them to do it, to remain focused on Him and do whatever assignment God has given them, without fear or favor.
And to the glory of God,
Dr. Sunday Madu, licensed lay reader.
Evangelist Jerry Marcus Peter and Evangelist Ebele Chukwuwanko are now made deacons. Reverend Anozie Chinonso Nadozie, now ordained priest, while Reverend Yakubu collated canon. In Abuja, Nzubechi Frank reporting for ACNN News.
The church has been admonished to learn how to trust God, just as the people of the old trusted and never doubted him. This was the positions of some Anglican bishops during an interview with ACNN news correspondent Nwane Ogechukwu, as they urged the nation and members of the church to completely trust in the Lord, because God cannot change, adding that as he was in the past, so he is in the present and will remain in the future.
We should learn to trust him the way the people of the old trusted him, so that God can act on our behalf in the present time the way he acted before. My advice also to Nigerians is that we live at a time when it appears that all hope is lost. In fact, the Christians seem to be the most oppressed, the most vulnerable to all kinds of attack. The Christians in Nigeria and Nigerians at large must know that God has not changed. Whenever it looks as if God is keeping quiet, it's even the beginning of God's miracle. Our problems today will become raw material for God's intervention in our lives.
The church is to remain focused, not to wave, not to allow situation of this country to dissuade us as a church, not to allow us to remove our eyes, our gazing from the one who can help us as a church. So we remain focused, knowing that this God is the God of yesterday, the God of today, the God of tomorrow.
It's really good to hold on to God, depend on him absolutely, and be true to him, because God is a rewarder of them that faithfully and diligently seek him. It's more than it's not a fun of a thing. God, let me say, at the other level, is a realist. Realist in the sense that he gives you what you really request of him and you really demand of him. So if you serve him in truth, you walk by faith, you trust in him truly, God is there for you. He never fails. He has never failed and he will not fail. And he doesn't abandon. There are no cases to scare him. There are no situations to be bad enough to make you in which God abandons. He is constant. In fact, the more difficult, the more challenging the situation, the more dependable, the more reliable, the more sufficient this God is. He specializes in helping when the thing is worse. So when no man can help you, when you cannot help yourself, when nothing else can work, that's when God shows up the most.
The Bishop of the Diocese of Ile-Oluji, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, the Right Reverend Abel Oluyemi Ajibodu, has called on church elders to see themselves as evangelists and servants to the church congregation. They also avoid arrogating undue authority to themselves. Bishop Ajibodu made these assertions in his sermon at the Cathedral of St. Peter, Ile-Oluji, Ondo State, Nigeria, during the investiture and installation of 6 elders as new chiefs of the diocese. He urged them to abide by the diocesan constitution and to regard their investiture and installation as a call to faithful duty. The chief shepherd of the diocese noted that chieftaincy matters has endangered mistakes and bad blood in the diocese in the past, and therefore called for an end to such salient issues. Preliminary work has commenced at the proposed away campus of Ajayi Crowther University at Ologboto, Oniwasu, Awe, shortly after the university signed a memorandum of understanding on the 135.8 acres of land being acquired from the community. The road network in the land is open just as perimeter fencing has commenced. The Vice-Chancellor, the Right Reverend Professor Dakpo Asaju, said the survey plan has been handed over to the university and that the process of getting the certificate of occupancy from the appropriate authorities will commence shortly. It will be recalled that the traditional ruler of the community, the Alewe of Awe, His Royal Highness Oba Colonius Abiola Taiwo, led his cabinet members to the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the university on the land, wherein he said the community was happy to enter into the relationship with the university and prayed that it would bring development to the away land. In a bid to promote religious tolerance and peaceful relations, Hajia Ramatu, a Muslim woman, has donated Christmas tree for the decoration of the residence of Kaduna State Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, ACNN, Reverend John Joseph Hayab. It was gathered that the young Muslim woman made her feelings known shortly after decorating the house with Christmas tree, light, stocking, garments and ornaments with the family of the ACNN leader. Ramatu described Hayab as a man of peace, trust and integrity, saying the Christmas tree gift is a way of appreciating his peace-building efforts in northern Nigeria. Speaking on Ramatu's gesture, Reverend Hayab expressed his appreciation, saying she's a kind woman. And still to come, ACNN supports U.S. stance on Nigerian religious persecution. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. And to be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. The Christian Association of Nigeria, ACNN, has reacted to the recent listing of the country by the United States government among nations tolerating religious persecution. In a statement by Adebayo Oladeji, Special Assistant on Media and Communication to the ACNN President, Samson Ayokunle, the association warned that discrimination against Christians can result in another civil war, which Nigeria may not survive. Journalists reported how the U.S. Department of State listed Nigeria among countries like Cuba, Nicaragua, and Sudan, who are now part of the U.S. watch list for governments that have perpetrated or tolerated severe violations of religious freedom. The inclusion of Nigeria by the department was announced by the U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who had also renewed the placement of Comoros, Russia, and Uzbekistan on the same list. In reaction to the development, ACNN said it had proffered several solutions to the issues fueling religious intolerance in the country of President Muhammadu Buhari, but added that the presidency had turned a deaf ear to its suggestions. And meanwhile, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, criticized the United States government for placing Nigeria on the special watch list of countries violating religious freedom. Adesina, who was a guest on Sunday Politics, a political program which aired on Channels Television, said nobody has appointed the U.S. to be the policeman of the world. The presidential spokesman advised the Donald Trump's administration to focus on burning issues affecting the United States. Speaking further, Adesina called on the US and other foreign powers to respect the internal issues of Nigeria, stressing that the federal government doing business with them does not mean the nation's sovereignty should not be appreciated. According to him, the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo does not have a clear understanding of things happening here in the country. And now to the international scene. More than 60 vehicles were involved in a pile-up and foggy conditions on a motorway in the U.S. state of Virginia. There were no reports of fatalities in the crash on Interstate 64 near Williamsburg, but more than 50 people were injured and 2 are on critical condition. Images from the scene showed a mass of crumpled cars rammed into each other along a stretch of the road as it took several hours to clear away the damaged cars and reopen the road to traffic. And now to sports story. Liverpool were left unimpressed with FIFA after their officials prevented their squad from celebrating with their fans after they won the Club World Cup trophy. The Reds won the title for the first time in their history, thanks to a 1-0 win over Flamengo. After the final whistle, the squad spent some time on the pitch before Jurgen Klopp began to bring the players to the corner of the Khalifa International Stadium that was reserved for 1,500 traveling supporters. But when Klopp tried to go behind the goal and onto the running track to be closer to the fans, FIFA representatives kept pushing them back. It left the Liverpool contingent bemused and some branded FIFA's behavior ridiculous. There will be discussions during the next few days to see whether they will display the trophy at Anfield before next Sunday's Premier League fixture against Wolves. And that's it on the news and thanks for watching. I am Rachel Igbunu.